Try before we die.
WTF, Whiskey Today's Fact. I get asked a lot, what are the 5 top whiskeys that you should have for under $100? And I thought a lot about that question, and I thought about that I live in New Hampshire. So in New Hampshire, the 5 whiskeys that you should have for under $100 are the Glen Grant, the Major's Reserve. Now you're gonna pay $50 or less for this bottle. It's a no age statement, but boy, they'll say it's seductively smooth and fruity, and they are correct. The Major's Reserve from Glen Grant, under $50. Everybody should have one of those. But let's transition to Buna Heaven. Now this is an Islay. This in New Hampshire, this 12-year-old, this standard release of theirs is gonna run you about $60. This is a great whiskey. It's full-bodied and it's absolutely full of just enough peat to make you know you're drinking a whiskey. What else should you have for under $100? Well, for about $75 here in New Hampshire, you can get the Abilauer Buna. Everybody should have more than one of these on hand. The batch numbers change, the flavors change, but it is still just a cask strength sherry bomb. Everybody should have a Buna. Speaking of cask strength bombs, the Glenlivet Nadura. This whiskey lets you know what rocket fuel tastes like. We should all have a Glenlivet Nadura. Now, unfortunately, they've stopped releasing the 16-year age statement. If you can find one of those, grab it. But everybody should have a Glenlivet Nadura, about $80. And finally, the 5th whiskey for under $100 that we should all have is the Oban Distiller's Edition. This Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, about 73 steps from the sea, or maybe it's 273, is just a great example of their whiskey, and perhaps the best example of their whiskey. The Oban Distiller's Edition, about $80. We should all have one of those. So those are 5 whiskeys we should all have for under $100. And that's Whiskey Today's Fact, the water of life. Cheers, y'all.
With a bearded man and a British guy.